In the early chapters of our lives, the world is awash with promises. We are cradled in fairy tales of eternal love, unwavering loyalty, and the comforting idea that blood ties are sacred and unbreakable. We are taught to trust, to give, to hope, and so we do, pouring our youth, our energy, our dreams into relationships, into families, into careers, believing that such investments will yield a harvest of enduring happiness. But life, with its inexorable unfolding, carries a more complex truth. Gradually, often quietly, sometimes violently, the illusions fall away. The friendships that once felt eternal dissolve in the winds of circumstance. The family we thought would be our permanent home fractures into distant islands. Our bodies, once reliable vessels, begin their slow, inexorable rebellion. Arthur Schopenhauer, that perennial pessimist with a surgeon's precision for exposing human delusion, saw this unraveling not as a personal failure but as a universal law. His work does not offer the easy comforts of optimism, but it does offer something infinitely rarer, the chance to live with eyes wide open, free from the tyranny of unmet expectations. To live peacefully and freely after 60, we must build upon new foundations, pillars constructed not of naive hope but of hard-won clarity. Here, inspired by Schopenhauer and deepened by my own reflections, are the 7 pillars that can uphold a dignified, liberated, and even luminous later life. We are born into families without choice, and for much of life, we assume these bonds are immutable. Early on, it seems inconceivable that a parent could be anything but selfless, that a child could be anything but grateful, that siblings could drift into strangers. Yet by 60, many have learned through heartbreak that family love is not always unconditional. Sometimes it is transactional. Sometimes it is riddled with resentment, obligation, or silent indifference. It is tempting to mourn this reality as a loss, but it is in fact a beginning. Recognizing that family is not a fortress but merely the starting point of our journey allows us to stop making demands of it that it was never designed to fulfill. We can still love deeply, freely, but without the chains of expectation. We can forgive without excusing harm. We can release the dream of perfect family and find peace in the imperfect, human bonds that remain. Most importantly, we are free to create our own chosen families, relationships based on mutual respect, shared values, and real affection, not simply shared DNA. The day we accept that family is not a guarantee, we stop waiting for it to save us and begin the far more sacred work of saving ourselves. Expectation is a quiet, insidious poison. It begins innocently enough. I gave, therefore I should receive. I was kind, therefore I should be remembered. I was loyal, therefore I should be repaid. But life, indifferent and sprawling, does not operate on such equations. At 60 we have seen it, the favors forgotten, the sacrifices unnoticed, the loyalty met with silence. Every expectation unmet becomes a fresh wound if we allow it. Schopenhauer's remedy is radical: expect nothing. This is not cynicism, it is liberation. When we stop expecting, every act of kindness becomes a miracle. Every small loyalty is a treasure. Every unexpected call, every warm glance, every hand extended in friendship is transformed from a debt owed into a gift freely given. Letting go of expectations is not the abandonment of hope but the embracing of wonder. It reawakens gratitude for what is instead of resentment for what should have been. It is only when our hands are empty of demands that they are free to receive the real, the unbidden, the beautiful. Loneliness terrifies the modern mind. We are trained to see solitude as failure, as evidence of unworthiness. We rush to fill every silence with noise, every empty afternoon with distraction. Yet solitude, rightly embraced, is not deprivation, it is expansion. In solitude, we rediscover the vastness of our inner landscapes. We unearth forgotten dreams, overlook talents, bury joys. We remember that we are not merely roles, parent, partner, employee, but infinite beings capable of sustaining ourselves on thought, reflection, and imagination alone. I have walked many long roads alone in my 60s, literal and metaphorical. At first, it was painful, the silence roared in my ears, the absence of company felt like a punishment. But slowly, I learned the secret: solitude is a doorway, not a prison. Beyond the first aching threshold lies an immense freedom. Without the constant friction of external demands, the self blooms. In solitude, we become artists of our own lives. We read what delights us, move as our bodies wish, dream without permission or interruption. We cease to be mirrors for others and become, at last, illuminated from within. If you fear solitude, you have not yet befriended yourself. After 60, there is no greater companion you could find. It is not romantic to speak of money in matters of dignity and love, but it is necessary. Dependence corrodes relationships. It invites resentment, guilt, imbalance. It erodes the subtle bonds of respect that allow true affection to flourish. Schopenhauer, always clear-eyed, insisted that financial independence was crucial to true freedom. Money, for all its crudeness, is a shield. It is the right to say no. It is the ability to walk away. It is the power to live on one's own terms. Financial independence does not require vast wealth. It requires simplicity, foresight, and restraint. It means choosing security over status, substance over display. It means living within one's means, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The great irony is that true abundance often comes not from accumulation, but from moderation. A modest home filled with peace is wealthier than a mansion filled with strife. In our later years, the freedom bought by wise financial choices is more than comfort, it is the foundation of self-respect. By 60, most of us have lost more friends than we can count. Some to time, some to betrayal, some simply to the quiet divergence of life's paths. This can feel like a hollowing out, but it is also a refining. What remains, if we are fortunate, are the true ones, the handful who have seen us flawed and unguarded and still chosen to stay. Those rare souls who do not measure our worth by our utility, who do not fade when fortune does. True friendship is not transactional, it is sacred. It asks not what can you do for me, but who are you and can I walk beside you in your becoming. These friends are our chosen family, the ones we gather along the road when blood has failed or simply cannot reach us. Protect these friendships fiercely. Tend them with care. Understand that they, too, are mortal, subject to the same fragility as all human things, and cherish them all the more for it. A life with even one true friend is a life abundantly blessed. If there is one truth that deepens with age, it is this: everything changes. Our bodies, our roles, our dreams, even our very selves, all are in flux. To resist this is to suffer needlessly. To embrace it is to step into peace. Impermanence is not cruelty, it is life's way of ensuring that nothing, good or bad, holds us prisoner forever. The grief we thought would crush us softens. The joys we thought would sustain us fade. New sorrows arrive. New happinesses, unexpected and strange, blossom in the ashes of old hopes. Everything passes. Everything renews. When we stop clinging to youth, to relationships, to old versions of ourselves, we become light enough to be carried by the river of life rather than drowned by it. At 60, this truth is not merely known, it is lived. And strangely, once accepted, it ceases to terrify. It becomes a kind of quiet music, a rhythm that, once attuned to, dances us into the remaining years with grace. All external things can be lost: money, status, relationships, health. What remains is what we have built inside ourselves. Happiness, ultimately, is not something we find. It is something we cultivate. After 60, the most important investments are no longer in possessions or accolades, but in inner wealth, the cultivation of curiosity, kindness, wonder, resilience. A mind capable of wonder at a sunset will never be poor. A heart capable of forgiveness will never be imprisoned. A soul capable of savoring solitude will never be truly alone. Inner wealth cannot be taken by time, by misfortune, by betrayal. It is the only true security. It is the invisible inheritance we carry through every stage of life and beyond. In the end, it is not the world that makes us happy or miserable, but our own hearts. The final years of life are not a diminishment, but a distillation. Stripped of illusions, of false friends, of hollow ambitions, we find, perhaps for the first time, that we are free. Free to love without neediness. Free to walk alone without fear. Free to find joy in the smallest of things. Free to live, not for appearances, but for truth. Arthur Schopenhauer's grim but luminous wisdom is not an invitation to despair, but to a fiercer, truer kind of joy. The joy that comes when we cease demanding that life be other than it is, and embrace it fully, beautifully as it is. The veil has fallen. We see clearly now, and in that clarity we are reborn. Thank you for accompanying. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below, so we can discuss. Wish you and your family good health.